to Worship Radio Detroit, broadcasting for the glory of God, right here on www.worshipradiodetroit.com.
Thank you for tuning in to the Day Effect. I'm your host, Dr. Laura Brown. For the next hour, I will share with you practical tips, teaching, life stories, and remedies that will help lead you through your success journey. I'll teach you how to overcome obstacles, transform your mind, and be all that God has called for you to be. I'm glad you came with me on this journey, and I look forward to spending the next hour with you.
You are now tuned in to Worship Radio Detroit, broadcasting for the glory of God.
Welcome to They Don't Tell. What is it exactly that they don't tell? Well, we're going to talk about a topic that you don't hear very much about, and that's child sexual abuse. We're here to shed some light on an area that too often carries so much shame, silence, and secrecy. Have you ever heard that saying, what goes on in this house stays in this house? Well, we're not going to let that happen. What we say is hold your head up high. You have nothing to be ashamed of. So come on and join in the conversation with us right here on Worship Radio Detroit. Welcome once again to another edition of They Don't Tell. So glad to have you. I'm your host. My name is Lisa R. Gray. I am so looking forward to today's program. You're going to love this gentleman I have with me today. Again, They Don't Tell. We normally talk about on this program those taboo topics. What are we talking about? Child sexual abuse. We talk about child trafficking. We talk about sex trafficking. We talk about family dysfunction. We talk about all those different issues. But I had to bring a guest on today that I was so excited to meet this young man. Want you to know that this program is sponsored by Every Step Counts Ministries, and what we do, we work with those who have been abused and their family members. Today, we're going to bring a topic to you today that you're going to really enjoy meeting this young man, Jacob Spellis. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes.
I had an opportunity to meet Jacob last year, and we've been talking about trying to get this together for a while, so I've been waiting to interview Jacob. You're going to love meeting this young man. He's got so much going on, so much going for him. And I wanted you to meet him, and I wanted you to get an opportunity to get to know him, because he's like so many of us. He's had some issues in his life. Anybody out there that haven't had any issues in their life? But because he's such an overcomer, and because of some of the things that he's gone through and he had to overcome, I really wanted to bring him in, because so many times I'll talk with people who have had some very rough circumstances in their life, and many of them have given up on any future. Many of them have given up on any hope. Many of them have made the decision, you hear me, they made the decision that there's no point in trying, and they just kind of roll over and they really don't fight back. But I'm here want to tell you that we have to fight back no matter what the circumstances are. Everybody has not been born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Many of us have had circumstances we've had to deal with, some more than others. Some have come out of all types of backgrounds. But Jacob is a young man that wrote a book, and I want to make sure to show his book. It's called More Than a Statistic. And that is when I saw that book, I was like, okay, I've got to meet this young man. And I say that because many times we look in our communities and we say, okay, you're just another statistic. That person's just another statistic. This happened to them. They're just a statistic. But I don't know where this came from, but he's going to have to talk to us about it. So first of all, let me introduce you to my guest today. Jacob, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, it's an honor to be in Detroit today. I'm glad I could make it. The Foundation More Statistic started. I'll give you a little bit of story. When I got out of incarceration in 2000.
Did you hear how he slid that in, folks? I don't let him slide. Go back, Jacob.
I'll go. Sure. So we'll give the mini speech. I'm from Toledo, Ohio. I had a lot of things in my childhood, and I never really knew how to voice myself. So at the age of 11, I found myself in the criminal justice system in Toledo, Ohio, and later found myself in and out of suspension, schools, all that type of stuff, and went down a rough path with drugs, alcohol, incarceration, and I found myself really just spiraling out of control. So the main thing that I found out that I didn't really have a purpose. I became that kid that always got kicked out of schools, or nobody wanted to hang out with me and stuff like that. So
before you go any further, Jacob, I really want to stop and I want to ask you guys to share, because his story is so often the story that we've heard over and over and over again. And we have people in our families, we have people that we know, we have people in our churches, we have people in our communities that have had some, quote unquote, like Jacob said, things in our childhood. We've had some things. They've dealt with some drugs. They've dealt with alcohol. They've gotten involved in the system. And we know there's more than one system that can get us caught up. So one of the things that I really want you to do is share this, because so many people they've had some bad circumstances. And Jacob is sharing that with them and with us. And he's going to share where he is now and how he got there. And so often, people need to know that even though no matter what you're going through, no matter what your circumstance is, no matter what your issue or issues, because many of us have multiple, you can still overcome. And that's what Jacob is going to share with us today. So please make sure you share this. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, without, no specifics and stuff like that, I was a kid who experienced, child abuse at some point and sexual abuse at some point. And, before I say that, a lot of people see the outcome of somebody. They might see, women in human trafficking, or they might see somebody in incarceration.
That's true.
And they only see what they got in trouble for. So just like many of the people I've spoke to, or schools, teachers always say he's bad. But a lot of times we don't look at those underlying issues related to the incarceration. So you see a lot of people, one example, selling drugs because they don't have money. They might be 8, 9, 10, father's gone, mother's not around, so that's the only way to really survive. You might see women acting out because they've been sexually abused, boys, and that type of stuff. So it's so important that I think before we judge people, to really know what's going on. So that led me to my point of 18 years old. I was 16. I was homeless sometimes, and I didn't really know what to do.
Wow.
So I turned to drug dealing, and later led to just a real nasty drug addiction. At 18 years old, I was facing 10 years in prison for drug trafficking in the state of Ohio. So, from there, when you're incarcerated, everybody just tells you felons don't work, go to school, do all that type of stuff. It's just kind of the norm. So when I was in there, I remember always hearing these numbers, like 75% of people will come back. The chance of, just being in, it's just crazy. The amount of overdoses, I think, you have so high when somebody gets out of incarceration. So, I'd always hear these numbers over and over again. And that's when I remember when I got out, I was in a work ready program where they would say that, the amount of income somebody with incarceration come, the amount of going to school and stuff. And that's where I kind of came with the more statistic. Like, why can't a felon be somebody? Or why can't somebody who's been through anything be something? So
you're telling me, Jacob, that you have a felony on your record.
Yep.
You're telling me that you went to prison, not jail, when you were
18 years old.
18 years old. How old are you now?
25.
Is this crazy? Is this crazy?
Yeah.
So how many years did you serve?
No, I had an 18-month sentence where I was able to go to
a
correctional treatment facility. It's like Conjabee Health in Toledo, Ohio.
And that did help you with your drug addiction?
Yeah. It helped me with every addiction, because their main focus, a lot of people think it's a drug place, is cognitive behavioral therapy, working on criminal behavior, working on these type of things. Because I think a lot of people, in my circumstance, they say, well, I'm not going to do hard crimes, or I'm just going to do, sell marijuana or something like that. So for me, I don't know, it's just, they wanted you to get into a factory. That was the biggest thing I remember. So
okay.
hope you get in the factory. So when I transition out, there's no programs for individuals getting out of incarceration. So that kind of led to my career and stuff I do now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your career and what you're doing now.
Yeah, so I got a lot of things going on right now. after that, I had a couple huge mentors like Dr. Celia Williamson and Dr. Morris Jenkins that got me, and John Edwards at UNC that got me into University of Toledo, where I found out social work. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to just help people getting out. So I started basic, just a drug counselor.
Before you go any further, I want to stop for a minute because something transpired, and we want to get into some of the nitty-gritty of that.
Yep.
Because when you have somebody who's been incarcerated, and you know somebody who's been incarcerated, so often I see the life is going out of them.
Yeah.
But you're saying that didn't happen to you.
It did. I went through Sprout because, I was facing 10 years. I never knew when I was going to come home. I had family support and stuff like that, but it's so hard. I remember there's a couple moments. A lot of people ask me, when was the moment you changed? I think I had seeds planted early on through programs I've been through. And then one big thing I remember just there was a priest. It was just a pastor was in the jail. I remember. And he came down and he's like, "Oh, we're going to pray for you. We're going to pray for you." And I was like, "Well, please pray that my bond is lowered, so I can go home." And he's like, No, that's not going to work. And I remember when we prayed, when I went back to my dorm, like a weight was lifted off my shoulder, like everything was going to be okay. And then that's when I got the sentence, and I thought to myself, we play games like, God, if you really love me, let me go home.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And I didn't go home. And I always think back, because I said something like, God put me with the ones I love. And he did. He put me incarcerated because I didn't really love my family. Because if I did, I wouldn't have been doing all the nasty things to my family, doing all that stuff, lying, cheating, stealing, whatever you got to, people did. So, from that moment, I feel like I was just given things. I was able to get my GED at Correctional Treatment Facility. The state has a program where they pay for and stuff. So that was really the foundation. And
so education made a difference. Getting that GED.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just finishing up something.
Yeah.
Getting that diploma can make a difference for so many people.
Yeah, I know they stripped a lot of education out of the prison, but somebody that comes out with either a degree or a GED has such a high chance because, this go with it. The more you learn, the more you earn. So I always tell my guys, the more education you have in yourself, whether it be college or trade or something, you're going to be more remarkable when you get out. So
that's right.
Education is huge. Most people I know in Ohio that go to the prison system, ODRC, only have a 6th grade reading level. So imagine.
Did you hear that?
6th grade.
Did you hear that? Majority of the people that are incarcerated only have a 6th grade reading level. We didn't say whether or not they graduated from high school because some of them have. But as far as the reading level, that makes, and that is why even for our young children, it's so important to get books in their hands early. Mm-hmm. Let them have a love for books. A love for books. When they have a love for books, they'll become hungry for the learning. That'll make a difference for them.
And that's one thing I tell you. Sometimes I do some programming. We have some programs. We have a grant, 1, to help people with jobs, and then 2, I do a lot of speaking in the jails and stuff. And this is just anybody, maybe growing up.
I love that. Giving back.
Yeah, all the time. And I always tell them, if you get out, instead of going and getting you a bad girlfriend or a bad boyfriend, go down to the library and get you a book, How to Start a Business. Get you a book on personal development because it's so huge. I feel like most people I come in contact with, they don't even know the basics, how to write an email, how to do that stuff. And then when you take a look bigger, you're talking about schools like in inner city Chicago where if they graduate high school, they only at best will have an 8th grade reading level. I'm sure with Detroit public schools,
we know
it's such a disadvantage. Like when I literally got my freshman year of college, I did not know what a research paper was. And I remember the professor was like chuckling, laughing. I was like, no, I'm serious. I have no idea. So my wife and other people were able to help me in those aspects, typing and all that type of stuff. So it's like,
So what you're saying, some of what I'm hearing Jacob saying, is so important. First of all, to have some people who are for you, and that will help guide you along. Now, when it came to that professor laughing, did you take that personally? Because I know some people, they'll get angry, they'll get mad, they'll lash out, and they'll say, forget it.
Yeah. That's when I started realizing, because I'm also dyslexic, so it's like, that's when I found out, like, how far people are getting out of the system. Because there's other people in school, it's like they knew algebra, they knew all these type of stuff. So to me, I use it as fuel. I would always sit up front, talk to my professor. I always made sure that this was there. I had the drive. I just didn't really have the direction. You know, that most people.
You had a
especially
lot of drive if you sat in the front, because the majority of people don't.
I'm always that guy. Any interview I meet them first, shake my hand. That's what I always tell people too with bad backgrounds. It's all about who you know and meeting those right people and
To
teach
make a
them.
difference.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you about your dyslexia.
Yep.
When did you find out, and tell people what dyslexia is?
Sure.
But when did you find out that that was an issue for you?
Yeah. A lot of people put a blanket statement on dyslexia like you switch words backwards. But I believe I'm not proficient in this area. I think there's 56 types of different dyslexia, where my problem would be I would read and I couldn't comprehend. So a lot of the teachers growing up thought I was cheating in school. So I'd get A's in math, but I'd flunk English, and I'd read a paper, and I couldn't put stories together and stuff like that. So for me, I couldn't comprehend. So I never read a book until like master's degree level. No, I never read textbooks in school. I couldn't comprehend them. Never read a book, and then somebody told me about audio books, and that's how I started getting into. Man, I really like personal development books. You know, I feel like that's where I really.
I love it. I love it. Did you hear that? There's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah, yeah.
So if your issue happens to be reading and you're not doing that well with it, get some audio books.
Yeah, and I don't think
I love it.
The education system doesn't really tailor to people that has special needs. Now they might give you longer tests for school, but we don't really empower. It's like, we try to make just the below average students average. Like today I was speaking to some gentlemen and stuff. I do coaching and stuff, and I was just inspiring, like, your goals are so small. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, well, you're only trying to be this. If you really want to impact the world, think way bigger, And that was always my thing. Like, I was the first male in my family to go to college, first person to get a master's degree. So, I mean, now it's like I can train my kids. My mom, she had very ambition. She was a mother at one point on welfare, and she had a vision for her 3 boys to go to school. So I know that generations can be changed with education.
Oh, my Lord. Yes, they can. Mm-hmm. Yes, they can. There was something you had said I wanted to ask you about. Oh, I know. In the school, so often this happens when we have, especially our boys. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have any statistics on this one. But so often our boys will do well in math, but it's like you said, but they didn't do well in English.
Yeah.
I see that over and over and over again, and we don't do a very good job of accommodating whatever the need is or identifying what the issues are. So even during school, did you have any idea? Because you said, it wasn't until your master's degree that you read a book. Did you have any idea? Was anybody seeing something else going on with you?
Yeah, I had.
Or were you just labeled as a bad kid?
I was definitely labeled a bad kid, but there were some teachers that I had. I had I think 6th or 5th grade teacher where I found out I had the reading problem, and that's when I had some interaction. But it wasn't until about 6th grade where I found out I had a reading problem. So it's like I didn't really, and by that time I was already into drugs and alcohol and criminal activities. So
At 6th grade?
6th grade, yep.
Now, one of the things that we know is that if your child has not developed love for reading by 3rd grade, they probably won't.
Wow, yeah.
By the 3rd grade. We're not talking about the 4th, 5th, by the 3rd grade. So that's why we want our children to have books very, very early. You have to get that love into them, into your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, nephews. Buy them books. Everybody's buying, I don't know what the newest fad is, but buy books.
Right.
Buy them puzzles. Buy them things that they can manipulate with their hands and that they can have some interaction with other than video games. We spend thousands of dollars on video games. The newest video game when your child has to have some books, and they need to have it very early. Mm-hmm. So I love that.
Yeah, I was watching an interview a couple weeks ago where the show Shark Tank, where they have the business investors, and 8 out of 12 people that have been on this show have been dyslexic. And they talked about the importance of delivering education, because I'm real big on that, and people, whether they start a business or they're in a career they're passionate about, that with 80% of people hating their jobs, they say in America, going after something that's real big. So with that being said, I think the way we project our learning to people, it should be fun. It should be that instead of boring.
It's got to change.
Or you get punished, you got
a lot
kids.
of punishment, especially our boys, because they don't just sit there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the thing to me is really getting books. And we all know this, school will give us a bunch of books that will never get us anywhere in life. In this workforce where workforce has changed for millennials. I think we have to change the education. So reading to your children young, or really inspire them. Because if we have, you see somebody maybe on TV or somebody successful in the community, I guarantee you they have a list of books they've read that have changed their life. You name it.
Makes a difference. So you put some things ahead of you. Let's talk a little bit about your book.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is a great book. It's called More Than a Statistic. And to stop being average.
Yep.
So some things changed for you.
Yeah. So again, when I started school, it's like the school programs you, get a good job, and then it seems like people just die, right? So they get a good job, they get married, and they just die. And people die in their marriages. People die with their children. People die with their employment. So I found so many people, and that's why I came with the More Statistic, because I want people to live a life better than average. So to stop being average. Which there's a tour coming soon. I'm putting on too, and starting in Toledo and hopefully Detroit.
Okay.
It's just to take a pledge that you're gonna take that step, because you think about averages is what 50%. If you do 51%, you're way better.
You're no
than the rest
longer
of
average.
Right.
You're no longer average.
You take that extra step every day in your life.
It takes a little bit of effort.
Mm-hmm.
So you did get married?
Yep, been married almost 2 years now.
Okay. I met your wife.
Yes. We have 2 kids, almost 6 and 3 coming up. So she's starting school, and she knows the importance. And my mom read to me as well. But it's the importance of just reading to your kids and really giving them the education and really let them know. Because I think a lot of people in America say you can be whatever you want to be, but they don't really mean it.
Or they don't kind of give you some of the tools.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things you do have to do, it is required for you to have something within yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe it just means putting something, goal in front of yourself. That's what you were saying. You were talking to a group of students and you were letting them know they didn't dream big enough. What are some of the goals that you have? And then there has to be some believing in yourself. But you even said that while you were in the incarceration system, you asked the Lord a couple of things. You wanted him to do some stuff for you.
And that's when you don't ask favors. God, please give me a Lamborghini. That probably won't. One, faith without works is dead, and 2.
Thank you. Say that again.
You know what I mean? So I think when you ask for me, when I asked for understanding God, because me and my wife, we were really at one point living in low-income apartments that I couldn't even legally live in, both going to school. People say just drop out, get a factory job, and we had these visions to be college graduates. I think for me, it's just give me the strength, and there's been a lot of areas in my life.
That.
Give me the courage to face any problems,
and
give me just not the answer, but just give me something, and every time that has always worked for me,
There's so much in that. There's so much that we can unpack. But you're talking about somebody who started out without good circumstances, made some bad decisions, had bad things going on. Some things that were your fault, some things weren't your fault.
Right.
Some things was the culture that you were brought up. I mean, this is stuff that we hear about on a regular basis. And that's why it was so important for me to bring Jacob on because we've had some situations in our lives that are very, very difficult. They're painful. We've had to cry.
Yeah.
But after the crying, after the pain, after the circumstances, what are we doing to move out of it? Jacob just said that he was the first college graduate in his family. So he's changing the family dynamics, the family structure. This is something that is attainable. Doesn't mean that you're not going to have to work. Doesn't mean you're not going to have to suffer. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have to give up some stuff in order to get something better.
Absolutely.
But, there's something about having that vision, believing in yourself, believing in the Lord, that he wants something better for you and for your seed.
Yeah. And it's just definitely, it just seems like people that have dreams are just wildly different. Like they don't take no for an answer.
Oh, my goodness.
A lot of times, I was just reading a story, some guy put out an app and they're like, oh, he's overnight success. But that individual put out 30 apps before one was successful.
Oh, say that one again.
He put out 30 apps.
What happens so often when we've tried something and it doesn't work out, we might try again, but that third time we give up.
Yeah, I've been told no a lot of times. I think, my wife and I talk about this all the time. Every time you turn no, it doesn't mean no at that moment. I've been turned down where maybe a school didn't want to get me in or a job or something. But every time that happened, another great door has been opened. And You know, especially with people incarcerated, when that start your business. If you're an entrepreneur, nobody's going to fire you. You know, nobody's going to do that type of stuff. There's a quote by Jay-Z that said the most genius thing he ever did was to never give up.
Never give up. That is so important. I really want to say that to you. I want you to encourage you. I want to encourage those who you love, those who you care about. You know, sometimes you might have to sit down with somebody and say, okay, what are some of the things that you want to do? Maybe you need to help them along the way. Sometimes we get lost in even having a vision because we've given up. So, you know, we want to reignite that passion, reignite the vision, let people know what they can do. So often, and I know in some of my jobs, I've worked with women who were single parents.
Yeah.
Many times I would hear them say, I can't do this because I'm a mother. I can't do this because I'm a mother. I can't do this because... And I remember talking to many of them and saying, well, why won't you use your child to be the reason that you do something?
Right.
Stop using your children as a reason that you can't do it. Make them the reason that you do it. Make them the reason that you try harder, that you put out more. So I just think it's so important that we have to know that sometimes you're going to have to cry a little bit. Sometimes sometimes you might have to eat beans.
Yeah,
beans and rice.
Me and my wife ate a lot of potato soup sandwiches and stuff. So the thing is, too, and I talk about in my book, everybody has a fail plan, why they can't be successful. And the first thing in my book, I tell people, throw that out. I can't be successful because I'm a teenage mother. I can't be successful because I'm incarcerated. I grew up in this neighborhood. I grew in that. Which those factors play. You know, some people are delayed, but make that your beautiful story. That's why we're so unique. To me, I'm starting to realize that the kids that are underprivileged is really their biggest privilege, because I have a hunger that most kids that graduate from, I went to University of Michigan as well, most people aren't doing what I'm doing. Most people aren't speaking, getting paid book deals, tours, you know, all that type of stuff. So use that to your advantage. Where I got a hunger, I promise you, I'll outwork any new graduates coming on now and in the future. And that will trickle down to my kids. They'll see me that, man, my dad pursued something. He just didn't give up with a little pride.
Change everything in the family. Let's talk a little bit about your book.
Yeah.
What you want to share?
Yeah. So the biggest thing, I know a lot of my story is that I was incarcerated, but I want to speak to the masses when it comes to my book. You know, it just so happens that it is, you know, it's just my story and stuff like that. So my book, it's not, you know, your cure-all answer, but it's to put somebody in the right direction to really live the life they deserve, you know, and that they believe in themselves. So, you know, I just give some guidelines and some suggestions and stuff that's helped me along the way. I don't believe in, you know, I see a lot of self-made man and stuff like that. There's we already talked. People have higher powers that put you in the predicament. You know, there's so many mentors I've had. And that I have mentors in my marriage, I have mentors in my finances, I have mentors because I'm not that smart, you know. I just know how to put myself around those people. And
that makes a difference, though. When you have a mentor that can help guide you along, especially if it's a path that you haven't been before.
Yeah.
There's something that you're not sure of. You're not, you know, you sometimes need to check in with somebody. Yep. We do that all the time. In the church world, we say we might have a spiritual mother, spiritual father. We might have mentors. Yeah. We do that in all areas, and you're saying that you're doing it in all facets of your life, and it's made a difference.
Yeah, I need a fitness trainer. That's the only one I'm lacking. I want a trainer. That's
you
the only
look
thing.
like you're fit, very fit.
I just like the exercise and taking care of your body, mentally, spiritually. Yeah, it's so important, you know. And I think what separated me from other people who got incarcerated, that I put my ego down and I was able to ask people like, hey, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do a research paper. I don't know how to do math. I'm in the tutoring lab. I'm in these services, and a lot of times I know the services are hard to get to. I know there's a beautiful amount of services in Detroit. I've worked up here on a couple projects in Detroit, but the thing is to really ask for help. And that's the key. And that could
love that.
If you experience abuse, if you experience this, because successful people don't hold grudges. And if I don't have somebody to teach me how to not hold a grudge, I'm going to be stuck. And that's mentally, physically, maybe my finances and a job, all that type of stuff. I always meant to, like, if I want to be the best businessman, I should look at the best businessman. If I want to be the best basketball player, I'm not going to ask the kid who drop out. I'm going to ask Michael Jordan. I'm going to follow these people.
That's right. And, you know, there's something about humbling yourself.
Yeah.
You know, the pride will often stop you from asking for help. Mm-hmm. Pride will often stop you, and most of us will stumble on it. That's so true, Bridget. Only dumb question is a question unasked.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know, that happens so often where people will just shut down and they'll wonder about something. Well, I was too scared to ask.
Yeah.
So that courage and that strength you're talking about really plays out in so many different areas.
Yep.
I'm saying there are so many of us who have family members or know people in our community where they have a dream for something, but sometimes they're scared.
Yeah.
You know, that spirit of fear is there. You know, you might want to encourage them. I would highly encourage you to get Jacob's book because he's had some very difficult circumstances, and you've been to some places, but you wouldn't even know it to see you now. There was no way for me to if I had, well, even when I met you, I didn't know it. That's why it was such an amazing story.
Yeah, I get that a lot too. You know, well, it doesn't look like you've been through something. One, we shouldn't have a look on what somebody, you know, that leads to a lot of microaggression, racism, stereotyping, and stuff like that.
All of that.
So, you know.
All of that. You don't know what I've gone through. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know this.
Yeah.
You don't. But that go back to that plan that you had mentioned in your book, the plan to fail.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, everybody has a failed plan. They tell you why they can't be successful. And in reality, I tell people, write that
My
down
God.
and throw that out and create a step-by-step why you can be successful. And I'm pretty sure in my book, there's a part where I talk about, imagine if you had to tell your kids, I didn't go to college because of you. Or I didn't pursue a trade job because of you. Or I didn't. That's going to trickle down. And I believe that self-confidence, you know, my mom always gave me the confidence going to school and all my family, you know, all that stuff. That's how we perceive ourselves. And I think.
How about that? Now I have to tell you though, I do talk to, I'm a counselor.
Yep.
And I do talk to people that say, well, my mom said because of me, I didn't do this and they didn't do this. And you're sitting there, you want to put that on your child?
Right. Right.
How about because I had a child, I had to do X. I had to go further. I wanted my child to see.
Yeah.
And I can tell you there's many people that has been the catalyst for them. That has been the driving force. That's made all the difference because they wanted something better for their child. So they had to give more, they had to push harder. They had to have a little bit more drive. They had to have more faith. They had to press in for those good things that the Lord has for us.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I think, you know, it's always, you know, I always like exercises like up until now. You know, people say, well, I've always failed up until now because you got to change. It's more than mindset. I mean, it's 80% success is just showing up. So I'd rather take somebody. You know, if I hire somebody, I'd rather have somebody who's motivated with no degree than somebody who has a degree and they're just lazy and stuff like that. So, you know, passion and ambition can't be bought, you know, but when we have a why and a purpose and a higher power and somebody that drives us, that's what's going to keep us going versus anybody. And that would give us, I feel like, a competitive edge in the market because, you know, if we don't want to work, but we have 2 young kids at home, that gives us the motivation to keep going.
It should give us the motivation to keep going. Sometimes it doesn't for some people.
Yeah.
But it's a mindset. We have to think about. We have to think about what we're doing. We have to make some considerations. There's something that you had said about 80% was just showing up. I talked to so many people who quit in the middle, quit 1/4 of the way. They don't have the follow through.
Yeah.
You know what? Once you've committed to something or you told somebody you're going to show up, then show up. We have to be men and women of our word. We have to go ahead and do what we said we were going to do. And I tell you, that's one of the issues that we have in the body of Christ. We're here today, then tomorrow we're over here, tomorrow we're over here, and we're not consistent in the things that we do. We have to have some consistency. We have to have some backbone. We have to have some follow through.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, taking those leaps. I mean, I always say fear is either, you know, forget everything and run or face everything and rise. Because a lot of times we run away from our problems or, you know.
It's easier.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote a book and there's probably some spelling errors in there and stuff like that. But the fact is, most people talk about it. I try to live it, you know. And I think most people, they just scared of rejection. What's somebody going to say? Because that was one of the things.
What is somebody going to say?
Yeah, Dr. Sally Williamson, I was like, I don't want to go to University of Michigan. It's too bougie of a school. I don't know nobody there. And she's like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You want to be on the porch with your friends all day? You want to go make a legacy? I'm like, okay, I'll apply.
So what was that like to consider applying? Now, remember, we're talking about a felon applying to the University of Michigan.
Yeah, that was extreme. So I remember I went up there. I went with my wife, and she's very encouraging. She wanted me to be there. I was like, I'm gonna get into school. She's like, all right, well, just get everything together. And they made me write my criminal, from my juvenile history to adult history. I had to write a paper, explain each charge. They were supposed to let us know by December 1st if I got in. I didn't find out till March 26th.
Wow.
And I went through 3 interviews. I remember it was Martin Luther King Day, the day I had my first interview, and I had to meet all these people with PhDs, and it was the most intimidating interviews.
My Lord. I bet you remember that.
I do. I remember everybody in that room, and I was dressed, and I was trying to impress, and they interviewed me, and they said they believe in second chances. So, getting in there, I feel like projected just my family life and all that type of stuff. And I believe I didn't even have the right GPA, but and there's always an appeal process. People don't realize if you appeal, people are human. You go to that dean, you say, I promise you I'll be a good investment. Or I promise you so always appeal. There's been a lot of things. People say I couldn't get a job and license. You can always appeal. So never take no for an answer.
You know what? It's that the whole idea, and I've talked to so many people that they won't even apply. They have a place that they want to go to, but they never apply. And guess what? They don't get in.
Right.
You know why? They never applied.
Just
They never put themselves out there. They never became vulnerable enough to give it a try. We never know for sure, but one thing for sure, if you never try, you know what your answer is.
I know. And the saddest thing is when I was incarcerated, you see the best singers, athletes, dancers, whatever, drawers, artists, and it's just like, man, they never got to use that full potential. And there's another thing. I was with a student one time, and he said, Jake, you're not smart, you just work hard. And I was like, well, how dumb is it to not work hard,
I like that.
So it's like, sure, I'll be the dumbest, brokest person in the room, and I'm not a know-it-all, I'm a learn-it-all. So I always try to learn from every situation and take opportunity, because if you fail, what's the worst thing they do? Laugh at you? I'm still gonna, I still got enough self-esteem, love myself and stuff like that, and just keep pursuing.
Now, this is the other thing I want to hit on, because this is what happens so often. You don't hear this over and over again, where you don't want to be called bougie.
Yeah.
Or your friends feel like, okay, you think you're somebody now. But tell me, where are your friends that you hung out with?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, most of them are either dead or in prison. I got a lot of friends that got life sentences. I have a lot of friends that, one of my best friends I lost to a drug addiction in his own parents' home. So it's, I got some friends that are doing well. I think for me, I took this from somebody else, is mentorship. You want 33% of the people you hang out with to be average, 33% below. And it doesn't have to be, and then 33% should be people that are higher, 10 years ahead, 20 years ahead. So you're always learning and stuff like that. But yeah, most of my friends or acquaintances are not doing that well right now. They're pretty shocked, because recently I've had some news articles in the local paper and stuff like that. And they don't believe. I've spoken in jails. They literally have my name, say Jacob Spellis is speaking today, and people are still like, no, that's not the dude I went to school with. Can't be the same one. They don't believe it. They take some 2-3 times. I say, yes, I was in school with you, and they're like, I don't even fathom that, because they're so stuck on how they can't be successful. They can't even see somebody come out of that environment and be successful.
That goes right back to that chapter.
Yep.
What's the name of that chapter?
The Fail Plan.
Fail Plan.
Yep.
How many people plan to fail?
Yeah. It's true.
I mean, they're making a plan just so that they could fail. Mm-hmm. Too many people I know. I just have to be real frank with you.
Yeah, it's sad, because we got so much talent in our youth, and either we're programmed from, I don't know, news or TV or something, but it just hurts my heart when people aren't living their full potential, especially if they've been damaged and stuff too, because I know that their story and their purpose will help so many people and all that type of stuff.
That's something, anytime you're able to overcome something, you can speak into that situation and you can encourage someone else, and that's exactly what Jacob's doing.
Yeah.
Jacob, you've got something coming up soon.
Yep,
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got a tour. I was thinking back, I had some people that said, man, let's put something together. So I had some other mentors that I seen putting on speaking tours. I got, on April 7th, I rented out, we got the ballroom at Park Inn Hotel in Toledo, Ohio. You can get tickets. They're 50% off right now at www.stopbeingaveragetour.com, and everybody watch get a special. But yeah, I brought in some real people that have real stories, and then they build success. Like one of my dearest friend, Greg Walker from Columbus. He grew up just so bad, poverty, domestic violence, drug use. I think he was the only person out of 13 families, 13 kids to get past the 9th grade, and he ended up owning 240 Subway restaurants.
Wow.
You know, so he was able to retire and stuff. And I remember people told me to never be a manager, and he ended up owning all these places. So I have, and then I even have a good friend of mine, Bill Jennings, who funds business owners. So I know a lot of people say, Jake, I don't know how to start a business. I said, okay, how can I help people in my community? Okay, I said, I'm gonna bring one of my guys who can literally help you secure some type of funding to make your dream a reality.
We hear about that all the time where people
Yeah.
are saying, well, I don't have the money. I don't have the money. I don't have the money.
Yeah, neither do I. For my vision, I do not have the money I need yet, but I have the elbow grease. You know, for me, I started selling books. There's easier ways now that I've been through it, but I started selling T-shirts with just a logo. And I would buy a T-shirt for $2, and this out, anybody brands, every clothing. I'd buy it, sell my T-shirt for $20 until I hit $1,000. And then I would just keep reinvesting, and then I took off. I set goals, how many speaking gigs I wanted, and every penny I got went right back into my business. And I think the singer Prince used to clean up floors for studio time. He used to sweep all the floors and do all the janitor work.
I never heard that story before.
Yeah, to get studio time. So do whatever you need for your dream, because I think sometimes money can be a curse too. Cause I've seen other companies where they get so much money, they raise money, and the laziness comes in the pack. So fund your dream with passion. I talk about, and that's why the conference would be so important, because I'll have other people that help with social media. I got the leading brand expert, Jeremy Haynes, and I would say in America right now, he's helped people raise, made over $25 million with social media and stuff. I have another guy, Ernest Epps. He does online drop shipping, which is using Amazon and different sources. So this is a beautiful way for people to say, man, I don't know, maybe I'm a single mother, I need to learn how to make income on my side. Maybe I need to do these type of stuff. So I'm just so blessed that all the speakers are willing to help me come to the event. It's from 1 p.m. I got some other 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. something like that. I'll probably go over, but
And that's on April
7th.
the 7th. Is that a weekday or?
Yep, it's a Saturday.
Okay, that's a Saturday weekend.
Yep.
Okay, so Saturday, April 7th in Toledo at the Park Inn. Go to www.stopbeingaveragetour.com.
Yep.
And you got a special going on right now.
Yep, 50% off the ticket. I'm trying to make them as low as possible to fund, everything like that. I always want to give back to the community, and I think entrepreneurship, learning how to be your brand, especially for, people being incarcerated, stuff like that. How do I use? Because I didn't have social media till about a year ago, I think, and that's when I started the book, and I started just investing so much knowledge into digital marketing and stuff like that. And for me, it's been so important for speakers and stuff like that. But you're gonna have a lot of personal development. We're gonna have people to get 80% success. Any business owner will tell you is the mindset. It's definitely the mind that we have enough courage to take this step. Every shot you don't take, you miss. So.
Let me ask you, even in terms of writing your book, I've run into so many people, since I wrote my book, that have asked me, how did you do that? How did you do that? How long did it take for you to write your book? And when did you first get the vision for it?
Yeah, so I'm sitting there. So I graduated in 2016 from University of Michigan. I got a tremendous amount of debt. And I think to myself, I'm going to start a business. And my wife was like, what are you doing? That's crazy. Go do social work. I was like, no, I got a vision where I think more we can help the world. And the vision I had to help more people, I just needed more my stuff and what I want to do. So from there, I think I started. I don't even think I had a title. And anybody who's writing a book, I would suggest just write some ideas. And so you can always hire ghost writers and stuff. A lot of the big people aren't even writing their own books.
That's so true.
That is so true. And here's a tip, too, just on a marketing point. Nobody ever wins the National Best Writing Award. They win the National Best Selling. So spend more time on how to market and how to write your book. So from July, and I had my first book signing, it was like St. Patrick's Day, March. So pretty much, I really took it serious in December. So it took me about 3 months, and I would wake up early. I'm talking about 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, write a couple of pages, learn how to do this, again, sell some T-shirts, design the book cover, and then use Amazon. So I do it all on my own, too. So I do all the marketing on my own, all that type of stuff. But don't be worried. I think the most people struggle with is just writing, and they're like, man, this sounds not good. This sounds, people. But again, it's that fear that other people are going to laugh at you.
But this is the thing. We're going back to the passion. We're going back to the drive. How many people are waking up to do the work at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning? If it's something that you want, you're going to have to make a sacrifice, one
Yeah.
place or the other. But you're going to have to make the choice. But if there's something that you want, you will sacrifice. Make the decision, get the drive, get the passion. I
Yeah.
love that.
Everybody has 24 hours, and it's really up to you what we do to it. I've seen over the weekend I was at this seminar thing, and it talked about you have 37 hours. When you take away sleeping, even if you're working, 8-hour shift, you still have 37 hours to go after your dream a week. But a lot of people, I guarantee you, a lot of people watch the Super Bowl and they know all them stats,
My
but they don't know
goodness.
anything about themselves,
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. Well, I just want to congratulate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I want you to be able to get in contact with Jacob. How do people get in contact with
Sure.
you?
So, I got Facebook. I got Jacob Spellis Official.
And spell your
page.
name for the people.
Yep. It's Spellis.
Jacob Spellis.
Yep. And that's the same on Instagram and on Snapchat and all that type of stuff. And then for my book, I have a deal where, you just can get the book, just pay shipping and handling at www.stoplivingaverage.com, and my team will ship the book out to you. But yeah, reach out, send an email, anything like that. I love to talk to people and hear stories and all that type of stuff.
And if you want to have Jacob out to one of your events, if you want him to talk to your young men,
Yeah.
especially if you want to talk to your high school group, if you want him to talk to the middle school group, a lot of times we want to catch our young men earlier than high school. Okay, we want to go into the middle school. So,
Yeah.
Jacob, do you go into the middle schools as well?
Yeah, I've been in some middle schools doing a lot of work and stuff like that. At first in my career, I wasn't too focused on the schools, but lately I've been speaking to high schools and speaking to teachers and all that type of stuff. 'Cause I'm not a person who's going to blame the student, the parent, the teacher. If we want to change something, one, we got to do it ourselves, and two, we got to get everybody on the same page. I don't care what your beliefs are. If we really want that change, we got to inspire everybody. So, for me, I've spoke a lot in schools, detention centers. I mean, I've spoke to a lot of businesses, a lot of nonprofits. Been a keynote speaker for conferences. I've kind of spoken all capacity. I mean, any type of business.
So we really need to let people know. Let Jacob be an example.
Yeah.
Just because you've had some bad circumstances, just because you've had a rough life, just because you've had some things that happened to you as a child,
Right.
even drug addiction, even with a record, you can still go on. There's so much more for you, with the faith and trust in the Lord, trusting yourself,
Yeah.
having a vision, having a purpose, and not having a plan to fail. I love that, Jacob.
Absolutely.
Let's not have a plan to fail, but let's have a plan to succeed. What is it that we need to do? And then take a baby step. Don't try to eat the elephant, but take a step. What is the first step that you need to do to get your plan? Maybe the first step is just to sit down and write it down. What is it that I want to do? Some people are scared to sit down with themselves.
Right.
With no TV, with no music, with no one but themselves, and just, what is it that I want to do? Why am I on this earth? What am I here to accomplish? So I'm saying to you that Jacob would be a great resource. His book is a great resource. I so thank you for that.
Yeah.
I thank you for joining us today here.
Thank you.
It's something to be able to say, to have a young man come and say, these are some issues that I've had to deal with. I went this way, I went that way. I had it rough. But yet and still, I've made a decision to change things with the help of the Lord.
Yeah.
His story can be your story.
Definitely. I hope people are more successful than me. I always feel like successful people, most of them I've met, are more willing to help you, than anything. It seems like the people that are
I like that.
grimy, they always got their hand closed. They don't ever want a hand. But I've met a lot of successful people. I used to think they didn't want to, but they're more willing to give you all the knowledge, because it's like you give off that you just want to see other people happy and have the same amount of success you do. So
That's the kind of God we serve. Because once, I said it before, but once you've overcome an issue, then it becomes your job to give it back to somebody else, to help somebody else along the line.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing. That's what you're doing.
Yep.
That's what we want you to do. Whatever issue that you're having in your life, be an overcomer.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can overcome everything with Jesus Christ our Lord. There's no question about it. You can be victorious.
Yep.
I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me.
Yeah.
But it takes strength, it takes courage, and you have to take a step.
Right. Absolutely.
So until next week, I just really want to thank you for joining us today. I so thank you, Jacob,
Thank
for
you so
being
much.
with us today. And make sure to get in contact with him. I'd love for you to come. I'm going to try to make it to April 7th.
Oh, wow.
To stop being average. I'd love to meet some of the speakers that he has. And let's just get together and do some things together. Let's make some decisions that it's time to take a step. Stop being scared.
Yep.
Don't let fear stop you. Again, my name is Lisa R. Gray. This program is called They Don't Tell, Child Abuse from a Mother's Perspective. Wow. We know that there's a lot that's been going on. We thank God that he's exposing it in this day and in this hour. We thank God for people who are willing to say, this is some of the things that have happened to me. But look now, I've been an overcomer. That's what we have to do. We have to overcome our circumstances with Jesus Christ our Lord. Thank you again, and we'll see you same time next week. Blessings to you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Amazing.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope the information that we shared today was helpful and informative. And if you'd like to know more information about the topic of child sexual abuse, please join us at our website, lisargray.com. And also, if you are interested in sowing into the ministry, you can do so at that same website. You can contact us on our Facebook page, They Don't Tell. Thank you.
Did you know that you're listening to Detroit's #1 Christian station, Worship Radio Detroit?